On February 28, 2026, the entire geopolitical landscape of the Middle East shifted on its axis. The long-running shadow war between Iran and the West, well, it suddenly exploded into open, high-intensity conflict. What we're going to break down here are the opening hours of a campaign that wasn't just designed to wound the Iranian regime, but to completely decapitate it. Now, you might think the first confirmation of the operation's main goal came from the Pentagon or an official military channel. But it didn't. It came from a social media post. U.S. President Donald Trump announced the death of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, directly tying it to the ongoing strikes. You know, this was an absolutely unconventional way to announce such a monumental event, and it really set the tone for everything that was about to follow. For hours, there was just speculation. Then, early on March 1st, the official word came. Iranian state media itself acknowledged Khamenei was dead, declaring 40 days of national mourning. And just like that, his rule, which had spanned more than 3 decades, was over. What that created was a massive, immediate power vacuum right at the very top of the Iranian state. But make no mistake, this was so much more than just taking out a single leader. This was a true decapitation strike. Along with Khamenei, the operation took out other absolute key figures in Iran's security apparatus. We're talking about the head of the Defense Council, the defense minister, the commander of the IRGC, and even senior intelligence officials. The strategic goal here was crystal clear: shatter the regime's entire ability to command and control its forces.
So the big question is, how was this even possible? How was it achieved? Let's dig into the anatomy of the joint offensive that led to this unprecedented outcome.
What we're looking at are 2 perfectly synchronized operations. On the American side, Operation Epic Fury, and on the Israeli side, Operation Roaring Lion. Now, the absolutely critical thing to understand here is the stated objective. This wasn't about simply degrading capabilities or sending a message. The explicit goal was to bring about the collapse of the Iranian regime itself. The sheer scale of that first wave was just immense. Think about it, around 200 Israeli jets hitting nearly 500 targets. And this wasn't some random barrage. It was a systematic dismantling of Iran's air defenses, its anti-access/area denial bubble, essentially. The goal was to punch a hole through it, to create a safe corridor for the follow-on strikes that were aimed squarely at the leadership. And you can see a very clear, very logical division of labor. Israel's Roaring Lion took the lead on the decapitation strikes in Tehran, which tells you they likely had incredible intelligence on the ground. At the exact same time, the U.S. component, Epic Fury, was bringing its overwhelming firepower to bear. We're talking carrier strike groups, heavy bombers, to just hammer Iran's broader military infrastructure. Bases, missile silos, naval assets, the whole lot. Okay, so that's the attack. Now, let's flip the script and look at Iran's response. Because even with all that chaos at the top, a pre-planned retaliation was launched almost immediately. And its scope? Well, it was clearly designed to drag the entire region into the fight. Just look at the geographic spread here. Iran launched missile and drone attacks against 8 different nations. The strategy was obvious: hit American military targets, for sure, but also punish the host nations that allow the U.S. to operate from their soil. This instantly transformed the conflict from a U.S.-Israel versus Iran fight into a full-blown regional war. And when you analyze these first retaliatory strikes, you see a very deliberate mix of targets. Hitting the U.S. Fifth Fleet in Bahrain, that's a direct challenge to the U.S. military. But then, hitting international airports and luxury hotels in Dubai and Kuwait, that's designed for something else. It's about inflicting maximum economic and psychological damage on America's regional partners. It's a 1-2 punch. But beyond the missiles and drones, Iran's response very quickly escalated into economic warfare, and they went straight for the world's most critical energy artery. This brings us to the question that really underscores the global stakes of this fight. Why is the Strait of Hormuz so unbelievably important? Why is it the world's most critical oil choke point? The answer really comes down to a single stark number: 20%. 1/5 of the entire world's daily oil consumption has to pass through that one narrow waterway. Any disruption there, even a small one, sends immediate and severe shockwaves through the global economy. And the disruption wasn't small. It was total. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps broadcast this message over open maritime radio channels. It's direct. It's unambiguous. That's not a threat. It's a declaration. the strait was officially closed, effectively taking a huge chunk of the world's energy supply off the market in an instant. All right, let's pull back and put this all together. Let's distill the most critical, strategic takeaways from the opening day of this new war. First, let's be really clear on this term, decapitation strike. This is a specific military doctrine. It's not just about assassination, it's a calculated strategy to remove an adversary's entire command structure, its brain and nervous system, all at once, with the goal of making the entire organization just collapse. So, what are the immediate consequences? 1. There is now a definitive leadership vacuum in Iran. 2. The conflict has gone regional, pulling in the Gulf Arab states whether they wanted it or not. 3. Global energy and trade routes are now under extreme threat. And maybe the most important takeaway of all, number 4, the era of the shadow war, of proxy fights and covert action is over. This is now direct state-on-state warfare. And all of this leaves us with the biggest question of all. The initial military goals might have been met, but the second and third order effects are just now starting to ripple out. With Iran's command structure in tatters and the entire region being sucked into a wider war, what comes next? For Iran and for the entire Middle East, the future is now profoundly and dangerously uncertain.